and General John Kelly as Homeland Security Secretary. And he's even working on confirming the CIA director, which could happen on Monday.
Yeah, that could happen on Monday. But Jim, you were telling us there's a lot of Obama officials who are staying on right now, at least temporarily.
The Trump people have asked 58 Obama appointees to stay on, primarily in national security. So here's the issue. There are about 600 presidential appointments that have to be approved by the Senate. The Trump people have only nominated 29 of them.
Wow.
So all the cabinet, the last one, the Secretary of Agriculture, was just yesterday, but all those national security spots need bodies who know what's going on. And so we have a couple of new bosses. We'll get another new boss coming in on Monday, but it's going to take a while for Trump to get his own people in, even to nominate them. It's not that the Senate hasn't done anything. There simply aren't names yet.
Okay, Jim, a lot of people just getting home from work, they didn't see the inauguration speech. What was your impression? There's been a lot of criticism that it was a very negative speech. What did you think? I know you watched it with a group of your students.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a 16-minute speech, and then we took it apart and put it back together for an hour and 16 minutes in class this morning. It was a campaign speech, and his campaign, remember, issues were there are big problems with America. The people in Washington, D.C. don't like you. They haven't done well by you. That was all in the speech. So when you look at it, he took on the Washington establishment, Republican and Democrat. He also took on people kind of on the coast who've benefited by new economy, whereas what he called middle America has been left behind. So a lot of things about changing our trade laws, making our economic growth happen within our borders. So very much a campaign speech.
But frankly, people shouldn't be surprised by what he said, because like you say, it's a campaign speech. They've heard this how many times during his rallies, and he sure stuck to that in this big speech.
He sure stuck to it, but going over the past 100 years, when presidents do their inaugural speech, they do a different speech. They're done campaigning, and they're saying, I now represent all of us. All of us, whether you lost or won, I'm the president, let's move forward together. That part of the equation was missing from the speech.
Well, and that goes to say that a lot of people have said he spoke to Donald Trump's supporters, not necessarily everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Donald Trump stayed Donald Trump in that inauguration speech, basically.
Yeah, Donald Trump, his personality came through. The only thing he didn't do is he didn't ad lib. I think a lot of people were thankful that that didn't happen. But it's clear that he wrote this speech. It's clear that he took it from other things that he's done on the campaign trail. Now we'll see how he changes those ideas. Very few specifics. Infrastructure building was one of the specifics in there. How does he turn that into policy? What does it mean to actually make America great again?
Because that infrastructure policy that he has is something Democrats are for and could get behind.
Yeah, that's Bernie Sanders right there.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at it, Donald Trump didn't really take off on infrastructure in a big way until Bernie Sanders had kind of said it and left the race. So.
Political analyst Jim Moore, thank you for always being here.